One of these men is a highly respected New York attorney, Lucas A. Ferrara. The other is a self-proclaimed man of the people, known as Mert Roberts. Their aim is to discuss the hottest issues impacting our city, state, and nation. Fasten your seatbelts. Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live, starts now on AM 970. The Answer.
Hello, my friends. Welcome back. Hour 2 of Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas live. Are you mad yet? Are you mad? Well, if not, you will be by the end of hour 2, because I have Tom Richmond and Desmond Devlin, two of the creative geniuses who made significant contributions to Mad, an American humor magazine first published in 1952 and famous for its satiric look at the world. Tom and Desmond have a new book that they're going to be talking about, Claptrap, C-L-A-P-T-R-A-P, Claptrap, idiotic parodies of iconic films. Oh, I love the book for some reason. Maybe the guys will tell you why. So they'll be joining us in a few minutes. But before we get there, we touched upon something that I want to... Look, it's a very sensitive topic. I'm not out to hurt anyone's feelings or say anything that's over the top. But some of you are going to be offended. This thing with the alleged transgender athlete really, during the Olympics, really bothered me. Apparently, Imani Khalif of Algeria, a boxer, was fighting Angela Carini of Italy, and apparently Carini gave up, and she was implying that the force was too much and that the blows were too hurtful, and she was alluding to the fact that her competitor was a transgender individual. Now, the IOC has disclaimed that. I took a look into this issue. The IOC, the Olympic Organizing Committee, is saying that Imani is a woman, passport's female, but I think the confusion arose a couple of years ago when the Women's World Boxing Championships in New Delhi, last year, the boxing championships in New Delhi rejected her and would not allow her to compete, allegedly because they had male chromosomes. In other words, they were tested, and she came out with allegedly with male chromosomes, as did another athlete, Lin Yuting of Taiwan. Now, the IOC, the Olympic Committee, has discredited that, and the organization has been discredited. So there's a lot of confusion about this issue. But I will say this before I ask you guys to chime in. The Reuters had a survey that came out a couple of months ago, and this they asked sportswomen, some 615 athletes, about competing with transgender individuals. About 70% of the respondents said they felt uncomfortable or very uncomfortable about transgender athletes. This is a BBC report. And 67% said they felt uncomfortable or very uncomfortable addressing it in public because of the backlash, their fear of getting canceled, and all that other good stuff. Guys, where do you stand on this?
Look, I feel sorry for these women who have been called transgender athletes, because all the information has come out, and these aren't transgender athletes. These are women athletes. I'm talking about the ones in the Olympics who are getting all the scrutiny. Right. I think what that lady did when she bowed out of that fight after she took one punch, I think that was politically motivated. I think she was trying to get sympathy and make a statement that these women who have these extra chromosomes or whatever, they can still give birth. I've looked into it. They can still have children, and they do everything else that regular women do. They just have a little bit more testosterone. But I think they were trying to make a political statement and garner sympathy. And I'm not going for it, because it's like, if you're 7 foot tall and you play basketball, should you be banned for having a physical advantage over somebody? I don't think that's the case. These women are naturally producing testosterone to levels similar to a weak man, because they're not big hulking women. They're women with a little bit extra, muscle, because these women have been beaten before in competition. These aren't women who are going undefeated and knocking everybody out. These aren't Mike Tyson clones dressing up to be women. No, they've been beaten by other women because they are women.
Well, I don't know for a fact where this what this individual is, so I'm not going to opine on the athlete that won.
No, it's been proven. I've read about. She's an actual woman. I read about this. This isn't an opinion here. They've actually spoke about this woman because they spoke about her. She's been beaten before. The one who, Imani, I think you call it. That was her name. She's been beaten by other women before at boxing. She's not undefeated and some woman who's never lost a fight to other women. She's been beaten before.
But
so this is not some.
I will agree with you that Angela Carini, the Italian athlete, I thought she was very unsportsperson-like in the way that she lost. In other words, if she couldn't withstand the blows, she agreed to compete with all the illusions or all the speculation. She agreed to compete. And then because it didn't go her way, she starts to cry and then makes statements that are disparaging. It wasn't sportsperson-like, in my view. So I don't know whether it was political, but I didn't think she handled it. The Italian athlete, I don't think she handled it.
The reason I say is political. The reason I say it's political is because I believe somebody is feeding these women, these boxers, information, and without this information, I have a feeling that she would have tried to compete instead of giving up because she believes that somebody is getting an unfair advantage. She thinks she's fighting a man, but it could be possible this woman just hits harder than any other woman I've ever fought, and that was that was the case because after I looked into this is a woman. This ain't no transgender guy. This isn't. She can have kids, so it's a woman.
Alex,
so I think.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Finish your point.
No. Alex, go ahead. Get in here.
All right,
get in
sure.
Here,
well, I will first say I don't believe this is a transgender person. I think Mert is right on that. But I will say is the IOC, who fails time and time again with these Olympics to actually be on the right side of things and really button up their, press relations on this. I think they've done a terrible job killing any speculation. And I want to just say that because they're supposed to be running this whole Olympics, Paris 2024, and one of the biggest controversies, and they haven't exactly convinced anybody. And I just think, for an organization that wants to put on these Olympics every 4 years, they should be communicating better with the fan base and the people and the athletes as well.
Well, Alex, the challenge with that is, in my eyes, is this is the world we're dealing with. So you have to translate this into every language. You have to deal. Like, who are we going to go to and say, oh, this is a woman? Because they've done that. There's been people out there who've said this is a woman. But the information has gotten out there so fast because of social media. It's gone so far. Before people had all the information, they already formed an opinion. And you see it constantly. It's too late now. Because the lie is better than the truth in this instance. So the lie, people want to go with that because you can feel something. You can get behind this. This is just another reason to boycott the Olympics because of, like what we were talking about earlier, with that. What did you call it? A tableau? Is that what you called it, Lucas? A tableau?
No, tableau. Tableau. What are you talking about? That's French. It's French.
A tableau. Okay,
God,
that fancy word.
He's making fun of me.
That fancy word. It's an alignment with that. So we got the tableau and we have the transgender fighter. Those stories get out there, and instead of raking it back, every news organization is going to go with that because the ratings will pop if you talk about that interesting lie versus the less boring truth that this is just a strong woman who hits hard. That's what I think is going on here.
Alex, I think you're hitting on a good point, Alex, which is the IOC doesn't help itself. It has a position statement, and our listeners can go online and take a look on the committee's website, and it says, when in response to this controversy, They said, we point you to the position statement, IOC framework on fairness, inclusion, and non-discrimination on the basis of gender identity and sex variations. Well, they certainly don't help with that kind of response, right? So, yeah, a little more definitiveness would have been helpful, but hey.
And also, this is the way we're in, right? So we have had actual instances, and my joke is Leah Thomas competing, because that was, the big one at UPenn. She's a transgender swimmer who is, was born a man, now it feels like a woman, is competing. My joke is she in the pool this year at the Olympics? But anyway, I digress. My point here is, around America, there's a lot of people on edge because there are transgender athletes basically finding their way into women's sports. And that is the biggest issue, I think, of all this, is that, yes, there is a concern of that, but how do we alleviate that? And maybe it takes another administration to alleviate it overall. But that's where this concern stems from, right? Well,
it's gonna take women actually caring about sports to alleviate it, because this is happening in women's sports. Go ahead and try to put a transgender man into male sports. We don't care. Let this girl who's now transitioned into a man, let her try to compete and play football with actual men. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be a bad day for her. A bad day. So I think it's going to take women, because men can't, in this climate today, if you try to speak for women, you better be careful doing that. But in this climate today, it's going to take women who actually are invested in sports pushing this to such a level that there's no question. We don't want these women, or we don't want, okay, I guess they technically are women because they're calling themselves that. See, I'm trying not to get in trouble here. We don't want these transgender women competing with biological women. We don't want that. And we're not going to accept it, and we don't care whose feelings get hurt. We're not going to accept it. That's what it's going to take. Because right now we're doing this delicate little dance where, well, let's think about it, let's talk about it. And women who don't really care about sports, they're saying, hey, who cares? Let them play. Let's protect their feelings. Let them play. Well, we're going to have to start talking over those women. And I mean actual women are going to have to start talking over those women and those male politicians who don't really care about sports. So they're just saying to themselves, hey, let them play. It's just after school activities, after school sports. Why not? Let them play. Let them participate. Everybody should participate. I mean, we live in a participation trophy era as we know it right now. So that's what I think it is. I think women, biological women, who have a menstrual cycle and give birth to children, is going to take them putting their foot down and saying, there's no way we won't show up. That transgender woman, she'll be the only one out there on the field or on the basketball court or on the softball field. She'll be out there by herself because we're not going for it. And if her feelings are hurt, too bad.
I think
we don't care.
Part of the problem, guys, is there are differences between men and women. The Scandinavian Journal of Medicine and Science said that you have to consider the impact of puberty and testosterone and how it impacts the male form, the physical form, muscle mass, strength, and all that other kind of stuff. So one of the things that they've been talking about is that if you're going to transgender and you want to be considered a woman and you happen to be genetically a male, that it has to happen before puberty, right? The transitioning has to happen before puberty. Otherwise, the unfair advantage is triggered. So that's some of the stuff that's evolving.
That's where I think the problem is. Yeah. That's where I think the problem is, because you're being cute. They're being cute with language. It needs to be this way. Either you're born a man and you can compete in male sports, and that excludes you from ever competing with females. I don't care at what point in your life you transition. That's the type of language that women are going to have to start using, because that study you just read off and the terminology that they're using, it allows for wiggle room. What if you transition 2 weeks after this timeline is passed? I'm pretty sure there's somebody out there who will try to fight for that person. So it needs to get to a point where it's like, if you were born a biological male, you can never compete in female sports. Now, if a female wants to change or transgender into being a man, go ahead. You can do that. Because no male is going to turn down going against a female. We're going to have the advantage there. But the other way around, no, we're not going to allow that to happen. And there's not going to be this equality thing going on where, well, men and women should be able to act the same way. No, because we already know in society you don't put your hands on a woman. But if a woman hits a man, of course it's not right. But it's not as severe. Same thing goes with sports.
I don't know.
You can be Go ahead.
I know some pretty tough women who could beat our you know what. It depends on the individual. You got to be careful about generalizing, But these are scientists that I'm quoting from, Mert, and they're saying that once puberty hits, that's when the disadvantage or the advantage comes into play. The athlete gets better muscle mass and all the other kind of stuff. I'm not a scientist. I'm just telling you what the experts are saying. But then you are also right that they hedge, because they said, oh, and by the way, there may be some advantages prenatally and all this other kind of stuff. So there's really no winning, because if there are advantages that are imbued when the moment you're being formed, so to speak,
right,
then you could never be recognized, and I don't think that's a workable model. You
used a good term there, hedge, because what these scientists are trying to do, they're trying to hedge, because scientists practice as well. There's very few things that all scientists can agree on, and they're supposed to be definitive, but science is a practice as well. So what they're doing is they're hedging their bets, because there could be something that comes out in 20 years that says, oh, if you're born a male, there's no possible way you will ever be equal to a female in terms of your body, and because eventually you're going to break out of this this cycle of being depressing your hormones and all these pills they're taking to block puberty from happening and all this stuff. Eventually it's going to creep in and nature is going to take over, and those puberty blockers, you stop taking them for a month or 2 months, all of a sudden you start to grow a little mustache for the first time. You're like, where did this come from? So I think that scientists are going to try to hedge, but scientists don't have an allegiance to sports. They don't have allegiance to women or men. They have an allegiance to continuing being able to practice. They want to go as far as they can and go into any and every area of the human body, the human mind, all of that. So they're going to definitely try to hedge so they can keep playing around and tell you that you were born a man, but you're now a woman. They're going to play around, because that's the role of a scientist. I don't blame them for that. We discovered a lot of great things.
But that only adds to the confusion, Mert. You know what I'm saying? I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it only adds to the confusion. Because if a kid's supposed to transition before puberty, how does a kid consent to that? Because that's the other part of the debate, right? We don't have enough time we don't have enough time to continue this discussion. But are we stating an impossibility? Because a kid has to transition.
That's a good question.
Real quick, I want to point out Riley Gaines. You gotta listen to what she's has to say. She's a female athlete, and she's been talking about this for years. So that's a name I want to throw out there tonight.
Yeah, all right. When we come back, we're going to change the topic, amen, to something maddening. My good friends, Tom Richmond and Desmond Devlin, will be joining us to talk about their new book, Claptrap. Claptrap.
You've asked and MyPillow listened. They're finally bringing you the most requested offer ever. Get the queen size premium MyPillow now, only $19.95. MyPillow is made with patented adjustable fill. It adjusts to your exact individual needs regardless of your sleep position. Helps keep your neck aligned and holds its shape all night long so you get the best sleep of your life. But that's not all. Get their 6-piece kitchen or bath towel sets, only $25. The brand new mattress topper as low as $69.98. Get their famous MyPillow bed sheets for as low as $25 and so much more. Go to MyPillow.com. You call 800-651-0798. Use the promo code JOE to get huge discounts on all MyPillow products, including the premium queen-size MyPillow, only $19.98. That's the lowest price ever. Don't delay. Order today. Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate. Jerry Paget II enlisted in the U.S. Navy. While on patrol in Afghanistan, Jerry was injured in an IED blast. He suffered a spinal cord injury, a traumatic brain injury, and audio and visual impairments. Nothing can reverse the damage done to Jerry's body. Through the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, we can honor heroes like Jerry in gratitude for their tremendous sacrifices. We understand the price of freedom, and we can choose to honor those who fight for it. Thanks to you, Jerry and his family moved into a new smart home at the Foundation's Let Us Do Good Village in Florida. He can live independently thanks to specially adaptive technologies. Your donation can change the lives of those who so selflessly sacrifice for our country. Donate $11 a month, please, to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org. It's T, the number 2, and then T.org.
Secular, live, weekdays at 4 p.m. on AM 970. The Answer. Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
It's finally time to get mad. We're going to be chatting with Tom Richmond and Desmond Devlin, two of the creative geniuses who made significant contributions to Mad, an American humor magazine first published back in 1952 and was famous for its satiric look at the world. Now, my good friend Tom Richmond joined Mad in 2000. He's won a bunch of awards for his artistic work, including the National Cartoonist Society's prestigious Reuben Award, while Desmond Devlin wrote his first Mad piece in 1984 when he was just a toddler, and he became one of its most prolific writers over the course of his 36-year tenure. They're here tonight not only to chat about their experiences at Mad, but to talk about their new book, which I love, Claptrap, C-L-A-P-T-R-A-P, idiotic parodies of iconic films, which spoofs some of the greatest movies of our time. Guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Lucas.
Hey, Lucas, great to be here.
Okay, you got to tell me who is who, or I need who's speaking.
Okay, well, he's Tom Richmond.
And he's Desmond Devlin.
Ah, there you go. Okay, I'll try to discern the difference. Guys, I can't tell you, when people hear the name Mad, the smiles that come to their face. When I was telling friends that you guys would be on the program, so excited. I mean, you must consider yourself extremely lucky to have been able to work at Mad when you did.
Yes, I mean, I started there when I was a teenager, so I've been doing it, literally my whole working life. And I grew up reading it before that, and I got to work with a lot of talented editors and other writers and artists, especially Tom. I've been doing a lot together. So I can't say anything bad about it.
Hey Tom,
yeah, I was a big Mad fan too when I was a kid and read it, and then I got a job when I was going to art school doing caricatures at a theme park. Was my summer job, my first year at art school.
Oh my God!
And I met all these other caricature artists and got reacquainted with Mad again, because if you're a caricaturist, Mad Magazine's the greatest place in the world to see caricatures. And so then when I got a chance to work with them, not only was it a thrill for me that I got to work on this magazine, but I got to meet and work alongside some of my heroes in cartooning. So it was pretty awesome.
Yeah, tell us about what it was like. Now, for example, the founder. Tell us about the founder. Tell us about the work environment. Give us a little behind the scenes. Come on.
Well, the founder of Mad wasn't really at Mad anymore by the time either one of us got there. That was Harvey Kurtzman, and he was an artist and a writer himself. And basically, he started Mad Magazine to make some more money. He was one of the EC Comics guys working there, and he was only doing 2 books while a guy named Al Feldstein was doing 4 or 5, and he wanted to up his income. And Bill Gaines, who became the publisher of Mad, said, well, you do funny stuff. You could probably knock that off really fast and make some money. And then, of course, when he started Mad, it took him a long time to do what he did, and sometimes the books were late.
Interesting. Why did Mad end? What led to its demise, so to speak?
Well, that's debatable. I think it just was simply that print publication has declined dramatically in the last 20 years, and there just wasn't enough. Mad's always been a publication that relied on the sales of the magazine itself as a product to generate revenue, as opposed to most publications which had advertising, and that was the revenue stream that drove them. Mad never accepted advertising except in its early comic book days, and a little bit at the beginning of the magazine, and then for 40 years they didn't have any ads. And then in 2001 they switched to a color format from the black and white, and they started accepting ads to fund the color format. But by that time, Mad had the circulation had just been dropping, and people just weren't reading magazines, and
it wasn't appealing to advertisers because they had fewer readers, so they went for the ads, but the ads didn't go for them as much.
Wow.
Yeah, and satire, had been, people were getting their satire from places like The Daily Show and Stephen Colbert and on TV, and all those guys were raised on Mad Magazine. So Mad was kind of a victim of its own success. They taught these guys how to be that satirical voice, and then they ended up taking over in different mediums, kind of doing what Mad was the king of doing back in the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s.
It was always aggravating for the editors because Mad is done on a schedule, and it takes a while to write, and they send it to the artist, and they have to draw it, and it gets published, and by the time it comes out, the topical humor isn't always so topical. Whereas you can just turn on TV and see David Letterman or Stephen Colbert or whoever, doing a joke about something that happened that afternoon, and if Mad did a joke about that topic, you'd be reading it in a month and a half. So they just couldn't, get it out fast like that.
Well, Mert, did you have a question or comment for the guys? I know that you wanted to say something.
I'm sitting back here listening, and I'm thinking to myself, this didn't have anything to do with the Mad TV show, because I remember watching that show early on, and it had a little cartoon imagery that looked like it might have came from a comic book or something like that. So y'all didn't have anything to do with Mad TV? Were y'all part of that?
Tom was a little bit. He could probably explain that. For the most part, there wasn't any particular connection between the magazine and the TV show, but they were both under the same company, Warner's. So,
yeah, you're talking about the Mad sketch comic show, right, with live actors?
Yes, that's the one I'm referring to. That was on Fox.
That was licensed. So they licensed Mad, and early on they had some Spy versus Spy animated cartoons, and they had some Alfred E. Newman, little shorts, and I think they might have even had some Sergio. Oh yeah, a couple of things, but really that was only very early on, and then they just used the Mad logo, and it became like sort of like a Saturday Night Live type show, but. So the people on the magazine never had anything to do with that. Years later, the Cartoon Network had an animated show called Mad, and a few of the artists from the magazine did work with them. I did some designs for them for some of their cartoons.
That's what I was thinking about, not the Fox show.
Yeah. So that was another reason Mad couldn't really continue, because there was no way for them to license themselves out to things like TV shows or really toys or merchandising, and that was kind of the driving force behind Cartoon Network shows and cartoon shows. It wasn't so much the advertising or the TV show. It was all the products they were able to sell, toys and IP they could license out, and Mad didn't really have that. They were making fun of other things.
Wow. Articles are like one-time things, or on a certain topic, or a certain thing is happening, and you can't take an individual article and turn it into a running series, which is what they're looking for.
Now, look, guys, I grew up on Mad, and look, there was a no-holds-bar kind of look at movies or politics or whatever may be happening at the time. Did you make a lot of enemies in the process?
I know a few people were mad at the caricatures.
Our listeners want some gossip.
Yeah. I did an article about Duck Dynasty, and then there were people on Twitter, like conservatives, complaining about it because they liked Duck Dynasty, and they didn't want anybody making fun of it. So, but it's not the same as the way making enemies. You get comments. They come in. Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad, but they're unpredictable. Sometimes you don't get any comments at all. That was more the norm than hearing a big review of what your work was.
What about celebrities? Do you ever get any backlash from celebrities, Tom, about they didn't like the way you drew them, or you made them too fat, or you made them too old? Come on, Tom. Little gossip for our listeners tonight.
I only got one story of that, believe it or not. Well, two, sort of. One was early on. The very first parody I did for Mad was Malcolm in the Middle, the TV show, which Des wrote. And when it came out, one of the stars of the show told me that because he wanted to buy some of the original art. And so Mad put him in touch with me, and we were chatting, and he said, everybody loved it except for Frankie. That was Frankie Muniz, who was the head of, the guy who played Malcolm. Yeah. He hated his drawings in there, and he thought that I made him look stupid, so he hated the Mad Magazine parody that was in there. But, I didn't lose a lot of sleep over that.
But, I wouldn't have lost sleep either. Where is he today? See, he should be honored that you even did a parody.
Maybe. The guy who wanted to buy the art.
You said there was a second story. Come on, you got to tell us.
All right. Well, the second story is, a lot of times it's the opposite that happens because, like yourself, people grow up reading Mad and loving it, and then they get into the creative biz, and, they're TV directors or movie producers or whatever, writers, and then when their movie or TV show gets spoofed to Mad, they're thrilled. And they contact the magazine and say, hey, can I buy some of this art and that sort of thing. And so one of the producers of The Sopranos, I didn't do the parody of The Sopranos, but I did a piece a little bit later called A Mad Peek Behind the Scenes of The Sopranos. And it was a big spread with all the stars in it. And he said, can I get a print of that? I want to get an oversized print of it so I can give it to the cast for an end of the season gift. And I said, sure. So the Mad guys helped me out with that, and we got a print of it, and I sent them a bunch of them. And I said, but can I send you an extra one, and you can maybe get some people to sign it? And he said, sure. So like a couple months later, I get this back in the mail, and it's signed by everybody in the cast. But the caricature I did of James Gandolfini was very flattering. He was really fat in it, and he had a white wife beater on, and it said "Body by Gabagool" on the front of it. And so he signed it. He signed it. F you, James Gandolfini. So
there's another
issue amazing.
There's another issue that had Sopranos on the cover, and another artist who worked for me named Ray Alma. They were shooting a scene near his house, so he ran over there with a copy of the issue. And then he showed, and Gandolfini saw the issue, and he rolls it up and hits Ray Alma in the head with it. Again,
oh my goodness! Hey guys, we have to go to a break, unfortunately, but stay tuned. We have one more segment, and we've got to talk about Claptrap. So stay tuned. We'll be right back after this break.
Over the last 30 years, Newman Ferrara, a New York City law firm, has evolved into a national practice focused on real estate, commercial, litigation, civil rights, class actions, and other complex litigation, representing many of the city's largest property owners, managing agents, and thousands of tenants. Newman Ferrara handles some of the nation's most significant class actions and civil rights matters. Newman Ferrara at 1250 Broadway in New York City. Go online to newmanferrara.com. That's newmanferrara.com. Listen to the firm's name partner, Lucas Ferrara, every Saturday at 10 a.m. on Dottie Herman's longest-running real estate radio program, Eye on Real Estate, on AM 970. A real estate lawyer for 35 years, Lucas is a professor at New York Law School and is also a published author with books on real estate and New York's landlord-tenant law. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to hear Lucas's unique perspective and advice on Eye on Real Estate.
This is Jerry Boyer for Townhall.com. Tractor Supply recently did something remarkable that you may have missed. They pulled out of supporting pride parades and refocused their giving to veterans' causes and agricultural education. They also dropped out of divisive DEI ideologies, which advocate for employees on the basis of race and gender and sexual orientation. Tractor Supply also dropped anti-oil and gas carbon limitation goals. I have never seen such a striking reversal. Left-wing activists warned about backlash, but the day of the announcement, the stock price went up. ESG, environmental, social, and governance investing, has always depended on the myth that its victory is inevitable. But Tractor Supply's decision to do the right thing shatters that myth. They can lose. And if they can lose Tractor Supply, what other companies with conservative customers and liberal corporate governance can also be turned back to sanity?
Hi, it's Arthur Aidala. If you listen to my show regularly, you may have heard me talk about my respect for court reporters. Well, I've got some exciting news for you. The New York State Unified Court System recently held a press conference and declared court reporting as the best career you've never heard of. Why? Because they just created a position designed specifically for brand new court reporters. The court reporting trainee position allows new court reporters to enter the court system, making an annual salary upwards of $75,000 with an additional $4,600 in location pay if you live in New York City, Nassau, or Suffolk County. To qualify for the position, you don't need any working experience as a court reporter. You just need to have graduated from an approved court reporting institution and write at 225 words per minute. If you're not sure if court reporting is right for you, you can test drive the program through Plaza's free virtual A to Z program. For more information, email info@plazacollege.edu. That's info@Plaza, Plaza, college.edu.
Welcome back to Shake It Off with Mert and Lucas, live on AM 970, The Answer.
We've been chatting with Tom Richmond and Desmond Devlin, two of the geniuses who I admired from afar. They contributed to this American humor magazine called Mad, M-A-D, which was popular since the 50s. And as a young boy, I read those magazines religiously. We're going to be talking about their new book, Claptrap. I don't know why I love it. Idiotic parodies of iconic films in a few minutes, guys. But before we do, my producer and engineer, Alex Garrett, wanted to ask a question.
This is great having you guys tonight. Any political figures that maybe you enjoyed characterizing or got, what am I thinking of? Clapback, if you will, for doing them?
Oh, I've written a lot of political articles, and Tom's run a lot of political articles. Don't really play favorites.
Are you laughing or crying? Are you laughing or crying? I can't quite recognize the emotion there. But your favorites were?
I guess your favorites.
I don't know if I have any favorites. Yeah, I mean, Matt always goes after who's ever in power, so I started in 2000, and so we did a lot of stuff on George W. Bush, and we had we did a lot of Obama articles when he was in office, and then we did a lot of Trump articles, and I know that the editor, John Ficara, would always comment that whenever they put Trump on the cover, the issue sold much better. So he ended up being on the cover a lot.
Don't tell Trump, please. Don't. Whatever you do, don't tell Trump, because then he'll use that as a talking point. The ratings are up whenever I'm on TV. Oh, that'll fuel his ego for sure. But guys, how I met you two. I don't think our listeners know. I came upon a crowdfunder a couple of years back. When did you have that crowdfunding campaign, guys? What year was that?
2021, I think.
Right, COVID was
2020, maybe.
Yeah, COVID was still, we had its impact, and I came upon this crowdfunding opportunity where you guys were looking for the public to support your book, and its name at that time was Claptrap. I can't say it correctly, but C-L-A-P, Claptrap. And I said, I read the promotion, and I said, you know what? I'd like to get involved in this film, in this book. And as a result of my involvement, I got the opportunity to pick one of the films that appears in the book. Do you want to tell our listeners about that? Give us a little bit of the backdrop about the crowdfunder and all the other good stuff. Why crowdfunding, for example?
Go ahead, Des.
Well, the book it would take a lot of time and a lot of work to finish. And you sort of want to have some sort of guarantee that there's an audience and like some payment, before we got to the end and found out. So unfortunately, there were a lot of Mad fans who they missed Mad. Like right now, this Mad magazine is still being published, but it's all reprints. They're not getting new material. So we were providing new material to the type of people who read Mad. So a lot of them came forward and were able to get the book over the hump. And the main idea of the book was to do movie parodies. Because Mad's done hundreds of movie parodies over the years, going back to the 50s even. But there are certain movies that were very popular or very good that for whatever reason Mad didn't do parodies of at the time. And so our book actually catches up on some of those. We have movies like The Princess Bride and Citizen Kane and Unforgiven, and there's 12 full movie parodies in the book. But then, like you said, we offered two of our backers the option to pick a movie for us to do, and you were one of the people who went for that.
Yeah, it was really exciting and exceedingly difficult to make the decision, to be honest with you, because there are so many great movies. For example, you have Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker that you parody, Shawshank Redemption, Psycho, Goodfellas, The Big Lebowski, Toy Story 4. I mean, it's an amazing book. So I struggled with it, and with your guidance, why don't you tell the audience which movie I ended up picking?
Oh, you did Psycho.
Yes.
And which I have to say, I don't know if I've told you this or not, but of all the art I did in that book, that's my favorite.
You're kidding.
It was so.
Told me the same thing.
It was so much fun. Yeah, it was so much. It was so great because for starters, we did it in black and white, right? Because it's black and white, and but Hitchcock's aesthetic with the big shadows and all the dark blacks and the dramatic lighting that he has in his films was really fun to try to capture that feel in a humorous form. That was a challenge, and I just had a blast with it, and I think it turned out the best of all the pieces in there.
Tom,
that was a great movie that should have been done, but in 1960, Mad wasn't really doing the movie parodies that everybody's familiar with who reads the magazine. So if it had come out like 2 years later, 3 years later, they would have done it. But that was just during a period where there were no movie parodies in the magazine of that type.
Type O. What did you mean by Type O? Because you changed Psycho to Type O. That
was a tough title to do a parody. First of all, it's one word, so when you change the word, there's no other word left to give the reader a hint of what the parody is. But Type O is just a reference to blood. There's Type A, Type B, and there's Type O.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Okay.
There's a lot of blood in that movie. It's black and white blood.
Well, the artwork, Tom, absolutely spectacular for Type O, which is a parody on Psycho, and the writing is, of course, incredibly funny. And I have one complaint, though. There's a guy on one of the pages. He's reading a newspaper, and I've got to say. He comes off a little fat on page 30. So apparently you haven't gotten many complaints, so I guess I'm going to be among your handful where the guys drew me into the book. I'm on page 30, and you got to see this imagery. By the way, I think I'm going to sue. It says here, insane lawyer donates big bucks to idiots. First of all, you're not idiots. But I think I may be insane. That is for sure. Tom, why did you draw me this way? This is so unflattering. I had to show my therapist. It's cost me a fortune to get through this in therapy.
Well, that's just what I do. I enjoy torturing people and making.
That is what I was working for. That's what I was working for all night to get you to admit it. He
drew you fat. He drew you bigger than life.
Right. Exactly.
Oh my God! Claptrap, idiotic parodies of iconic films. How do people buy it, guys?
Oh, well, Tom's had a website for some time, and you can go onto the website, look at some previews of the book, not just by its sight unseen, and then you can order one or more copies from that. And Tom will give you the address, I guess.
Yes, Tom, please. Where can our listeners get the book?
Well, the URL is claptrapbook.com.
That's easy enough.
So. Yep, claptrapbook.com, and it gives you a rundown of it, got a lot of samples of it, and a little link to buy a copy.
And you can get an autographed copy, too, right?
Sure.
Yep, you sure can.
There's an option for an autographed copy. You'd be crazy not to take advantage of that. And, Tom, you also have a personal website that people can check out? Do you want to share that?
I do, yeah, Tom Richmond. Yep, TomRichmond.com. I have a blog. I post work I've done recently on there, and have a little sketch of the week I do every Wednesday. So there's some fun stuff, and I've got my portfolio and everything on there too.
Listen, if you want some amazing artwork, please check out Tom's website. Are you taking commissions now, or are you still on hold? Because I know for a while you weren't.
I take them. If I get wrapped up in buried under deadlines, I have to, put a pause on that. But, usually I can work them in, you bet.
Yeah, check out Tom's website if you want some art, some incredible art. I was lucky enough to get the pages that are in the Claptrap. So, and by the way, Claptrap is also available via Amazon. So if you want another way to get the book, check out Amazon and just search for Claptrap and put in, Tom Richmond or Desmond Devlin, and the book will pop up. Guys, believe it or not, the time has just flown, and our Mad segment is kaput. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you had fun.
Oh, definitely. Thanks.
Sure
Thanks
did.
for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
Thank
supporting
you.
the book.
Please check out Claptrap. Give it a buy and check me out. I'm on page 30. All right, folks. I'll sign too. I'll sign the pages too. Well, that concludes show number 4. Guys, what do you think?
It was good. It was good. It was good.
The preceding program is sponsored by Shake It Off Live, LLC.